Hello everyone and welcome to this special sponsors chat only IELTS class live stream that we're doing. This was a request from one of our sponsors to do this topic on task 2. It's advantages, do they outweigh the disadvantages type task 2 question. It's a very common type of question. Hi Manisha. Nice to see you in class. I think you're the first sponsor joining in. Hopefully, we'll have a couple other sponsors jump in. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you? Okay, so again, as usual, our materials are coming from aehelp.com. That's for academic IELTS. The URL is at the top here on the board. For general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. We'll have another live class start in 90 minutes, so in 1.5 hours. We'll do speaking. For those of you students who are pushing to get a high score on your IELTS, make sure to join us on our websites. Lots of live videos, recordings and other HD videos there for strategies and also 6 full practice exams and a fully interactive course. Okay, Baljit, nice to see you in class. Okay, there's Mohammed. Hi, Mohammed. I'm doing well. So this is the topic that you asked me about here. Again, just repeating task 2. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? So we'll get right into it. This is the question that we will be looking at today. So the question is task 2, write about the following topic. These days it is common for people to read information in digital form, such as ebooks. However, in the past, people read paper novels. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, so here the question is asking, do the advantages of reading books in electronic form outweigh the disadvantages of reading books in electronic form, of course, versus the way people used to read books, which is paper, all right? Now, the minimum requirement, of course, is 250 words, and you have 40 minutes for this task. Make sure that you have 40 minutes for the task. Don't use up more time for task 1 than 20 minutes, because task 2 is worth about 65% of your total writing score. All right, so what's your step 1? So when you read the question, what's the first step that you should take after you did that? So this is going out, of course, to Baljit, Mohammed, and Manisha so far. Of course, there's lots of other sponsors now too, so hopefully they'll jump in. Yeah, paraphrase the question. Sure, paraphrase the question, because that will help you to make sure that you understand it, and it will help you to gather valuable vocabulary for your writing. So let's paraphrase this question. Can you try to do that? Can you try to paraphrase this question for me? Yep, paraphrasing. Yeah, that's right. You get your useful vocabulary for paraphrasing. So can you try to paraphrase it? I'll paraphrase it while you're paraphrasing it and see if yours is matching closely with mine or something similar. I'll check your answers when you do this. So these days, you can paraphrase as nowadays. That's one word. Frequently, individuals read knowledge electronic form. Such as ebooks. Before, people used to read printed books. Okay. Do the advantages of ebooks outweigh the disadvantages? Okay. So that's a paraphrase there for you of the question. In a perfect world, you're at that level where you can paraphrase like this or something close to, and then you now have some good vocabulary to use in your writing. You know that you understand the question clearly, and then you're almost ready to write. What's the second step? So your step one is paraphrase. What's your second step? What do you do after you paraphrase? Okay, Mohammed, not bad. The first half of your paraphrase is good, but the therefore other individuals read traditional books is a little bit off because the question says in the past. So you should say, however, before traditional books were printed on paper, and that's what people used to read. Baljit, that's good too. Nowadays, the populace usually reads data from computers. Data is a little bit of an awkward paraphrase for information or knowledge, but that's okay. Right, Manisha, so visualizing the information is always a good step. Visualizing is something that you should always use. I'm not going to go into that in more detail. What I'm thinking of here is identify the topic and controlling idea. Okay, so that's what you want to do next. What is our topic here? Can somebody tell me what the topic is in our case? What is our topic? Reading books. Yeah, sure. Or even more simply put, reading. And what's our controlling idea? Yeah, good, Mohammed. Good, Manisha. So you have the right topic. What's the controlling idea? Not versus digital books, because that's the same, Mohammed. So ebooks are digital books. So ebooks versus traditional books, right? And more specifically, because this question, Mohammed, is asking you, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? So in this case, you want to focus on that. So ebooks versus traditional books, specifically, what are the advantages versus disadvantages of ebooks? Okay. So now you want to do the critical thinking. And of course, when you're doing this in the real IELTS, you want to do this very fast, okay? So about the topic and controlling idea. So here, what? Reading. Why? Why do we read? How? In digital or traditional form. Okay. Why do we read? Why are we reading? It's important to think about that, even if it might seem very straightforward. It might seem very given. Why are we reading? Sure, we read to access information or knowledge. Why else do we read? That's right, Baljit. To get information, to get knowledge. So you got one answer. There's definitely another answer that's important there. Yeah, for your hobby, that's right. Or simply put, for entertainment. Okay. Now, how in digital form? Sure, so we've answered that. That was the easy part. That's talking about the topic. What is reading in digital form? Means using The answer there is clear, so I'll give that one. I'm sure you can answer that easily as well. Using an electronic device, computer, phone, tablet, e-reader, to read, sure. Okay, that's the easy one. Now here's the more critical question, why? Okay, so why use a device? So why do we want to use a device? Why not have a paper book? So here, the other way that you can think about this is, what are the advantages? So, Manisha, you're saying to get a whole bunch of books. Okay, you got to be careful with the convenience, all right? That's abstract. So think, when you're thinking about advantages, then you want to think about tangible, concrete ideas. Cheaper, sure, might be a good answer. Why else? Manisha, you're saying a good number of books. Okay, Naitik, nice to see you jump in there. Finding synonyms, yeah, absolutely. Reference information, such as using the dictionary, right? Portability, Mohammed, very good. So portable. Okay, it's a space saver. You can fit a lot of books into one device, right? So it's cheaper. You can reference information. It's portable. What else? Any other reason why we want to use an e-reader or digital book versus a paper book? Yeah, it's easy to update, sure. That's getting quite specific. I probably wouldn't get lost in that level of detail budget in a 250 words IELTS essay. You want to kind of stick to the main ideas. Yeah, maybe that it's translated into many languages. That's possible. Paper books also, all right, are often translated. One that I would add, so I think let's stick to the main ideas here. You don't want to get lost in details. That could be dangerous for your writing. So it's cheaper. You can reference information. It's portable and can be read in the dark. Okay. Now, there's a second question here that's very important, is why not use a device? So this is the disadvantage, because the question is, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, so any answer to this one? Why not use a device? Yeah, it's true. I think maybe paper book can have a bad effect on the eyes too, though, Manisha. So it's not necessarily true that that it can hurt the eyes. But hey, if you can argue it, sure. Girls and guys, especially if you're using those modern e-readers, those are quite good. I know not everybody has them yet, but they're quite gentle on the eyes. So it can be bad for the eyes. There's some other reasons. What are some other negatives for using an electronic device for reading? There's definitely a couple, so think about it. What do you need if you have a digital device? You're kind of dependent on something. Imagine that you're in the middle of the jungle or you just went camping with your friends. Might not be the best idea to bring your e-reader along. You might want to bring a paper book. Why? What's the reason? So I'm pushing your critical thinking here. Mohammed, any ideas? Requires what? Yeah, when there's no power, that's right, Mohammed. So requires power to work. If you're out of batteries, you're going to be in trouble, right? So can be bad for the eyes, requires batteries to work. Anything else? There's actually something that's very negative about digital versions of books. It's not prominent. Anybody understand, or everybody understand what I mean by not prominent? So what I mean by that is that it requires more willpower, okay? Traditional books, paper books, have one big advantage over ebooks, that they're in front of you. They're looking at you. If you have a book that you start reading and it's paper and it's sitting on your desk, it's going to be staring at you every day. If you have a book on your tablet or your phone, you turn off your phone, you don't see that book, okay, unless you're getting some kind of a push notification from your book that tells you, keep reading, read me, please read me. If you don't have some kind of a push notification, then you actually have to think, hey, I was reading my book, I'm going to turn on my tablet and I'm going to open that book and continue reading. When you have a paper book, you don't have that barrier, okay? So a lot of times these days when people read ebooks, they don't finish them because they forget about them. With real books, it's a little bit less likely. Anyhow, that's getting maybe a little bit too detailed and too much for the IELTS. So you want to keep it more simple. For IELTS, your goal is to score band 7 or more. So you want to keep your answers simple and good. So in this case, what should you answer? For the question, discuss this topic. Do the advantages of ebooks outweigh the disadvantages? So what do you think? Talking about their disadvantages are more than advantages, or advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Which side do you think is easier for the IELTS to get a band score 7 or more? What do you think is the easier choice here? Which side should you choose? There are more advantages or there are more disadvantages. When you have this kind of question, that's what your answer needs to be, is one is more than the other. So which one is more here? Are the advantages more or the disadvantages more? What is the easier answer to write for a band score 7 or more? What do you think? I don't want to give you the answer here. I want you to recognize the answer here. And for those other people who are watching, if you want to join in on this chat, all you have to do is just sponsor us. You can click on the sponsorship that's beside the subscribe button on our channel. We always welcome new sponsors, and sponsors get access to all of our exams and these special classes as well. And if you send us an email, then we send you a link to all of our 6 full practice exams for PDF. Okay, so Baljit, you're saying advantages. You'd go for that side. Naitik, you'd say advantages. Mohammed, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I think you mean that writing ebooks are better, or the advantages outweigh the disadvantages is better. Then absolutely, you're right. I think that that's the easier way to go. So hopefully, Manisha, you had the same idea as well. The easy answer here is the advantages of ebooks outweigh the disadvantages. Okay? So easy answer for band 7 or more is ebooks advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Okay, so once you have this information, and of course you did all the critical thinking, the what, why, how, then you can begin writing, and your first step is your introduction, your introductory paragraph. Remember, just like with every task 2, you have 4 paragraphs. Your first one is the introduction. It needs to have the hook, the background, the thesis. So we start with the hook. Can somebody give me a good hook for this essay? Can you give me a good hook for this essay? Hi, Vandana. There, you just sponsored. That's great. Awesome. Vandana, if you don't have our exam books yet, make sure that you send me an email, and then I'll give you access to our 6 full exams and all of our audio material as well, okay? Absolutely, Baljit. That's what I'm going to show you. So Mohammed was the one that asked for this topic, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you, is that you need to write more about the advantages than disadvantages, because that's the side that you chose. So of course your essay has to have more on the advantages. Okay? Yeah, that's a good answer, Naitik, but that's a little bit too detailed for a hook. Baljit, I'd be a little bit more specific. I think your hook is a little bit too general. So technology has entered every facet of life is maybe a bit too general for this. Yeah, Manisha, that's a good hook. That's a good hook. An even more simple version of that, Manisha, is a great hook. So simply just that. Technology has changed the way people read. Bam. That's a great hook. Very simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-word sentence. Nice and clean. No grammar mistakes. Catches the attention of the reader. Gets you focused on what you're going to write. Perfect. Okay? Reading ebooks or traditional books is a topic of debate. That's all right too, Mohammed. That's an okay one. It's not bad. All right, and then we go for the background. Now remember, the background is the explanation for what we're talking about and the importance of the topic, right? So for the past several centuries, information had been written on paper. However, with the advent of the digital world, much of literature has moved to an electronic form. I'm not repeating digital because it's already in there. Okay, Tianzani Tian, welcome. Another new sponsor. Great, awesome. Welcome, new sponsors. Again, Tianzanzi, make sure that you send me an email so I can hook you up with the exams and audio materials for our courses, okay? Okay, so here I just threw the background at you because I want to keep moving along nice and smooth so we can get to the meat of this essay, the body paragraphs. But I definitely do want you to give me the thesis. So technology has changed the way people read. For the past several centuries, information had been written on paper. Notice that here right away I'm showing my range of grammar. I'm using a past perfect in passive form on this sentence. However, with the advent means the coming about or the new appearance of digital world. Much of literature has moved to an electronic form. And here is where I would use your sentence, Mohammed. There is a debate whether or not ebooks or traditional ebooks are better than traditional paperbacks. Okay, there's a nice word for you there. So paper books are also called paperbacks. Okay, or paperback. Of course, in this case, it's plural. You can write, Baljit, the paraphrase sentence in the intro here in the background. I kind of did that right now. So this background information is more or less a paraphrase of that question. okay? Now you want to enter the thesis, okay? So here with this, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? You can keep your thesis very, very simple, okay? You don't need to go into a lot of details. You just simply need to do this, okay? And you can do this for all of these kinds of questions. Although there are some disadvantages to digital books, I believe the advantages are more. Okay? So that thesis you can use for pretty much all of this type of do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Now be very careful here. I'm doing something interesting here, and it's important to note this. Notice that I put disadvantages first. Although there are some disadvantages to digital books, I did that on purpose, so I was very careful to put disadvantages first and advantages second. Why? Why did I do that? So why did I put disadvantages first and advantages second? What do you girls and guys think? You should write 2 or even more benefits for this type of question, Manisha. I'll show that to you in a second, okay? Yeah, so exactly, Vandana. I want to talk about the disadvantages first, and I want to keep that short, okay? Because my focus is advantages. So it was a good guess. If you weren't sure, it was still a very good guess, Vandana. I want to quickly talk about the disadvantages, and then I want to shift to the advantages and focus on that. The reason I'm doing that is because in communication, you always want to leave your audience with the positive or your stronger side of argument. So I want my reader to read about the advantages later and more so that when they're finished my essay, that's the information that's stuck in their head. That makes for much better writing and much better literature, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. For body paragraph 1, I'm going to open it up with the disadvantages. I'm going to list them very quickly. I'm not going to go into detailed examples, but just to show that, yeah, I realize there are some disadvantages, right? So certainly there are. This is my topic sentence, of course. So body 1, topic sentence, okay? Let's just make that clear here. Okay? So my topic sentence basically takes this first point, the disadvantages, and rephrases it in a more clear sentence. All right? So certainly there are some negatives to having information in electronic form. For example, there is a dependence on electricity, and without power, there is no book. Okay? And then you can say a little bit more. Also, long exposure to the light emitted from the device while reading can be harmful for the eyes. Okay? All right, so here, body 1. Certainly, there are some negatives to having information in electronic form. For example, and when that starts the sentence, definitely include a comma after. That's why the grammar check is telling me that. There is a dependence on electricity, and without power, there is no book. Also, long exposure to light emitted from the device while reading can be harmful to the eyes. Nevertheless, these deficits are compensated by long battery life and new technology that is gentle on the eyes. Or if you know the word retina, then that's great to show your vocabulary there. Okay? Tianzhen, why do you need the word here? Let's see where you're looking at. Right here, you're asking me about the light, I think. That's what you're referring to. It's a great question, and you know what? It's okay. I'm referring to the unique light of the digital device, so that's why I put the in there. But you're right, it's not absolutely necessary. It's not wrong, but it is nicer to go without. So that's kind of good. To light emitted from the evidence while reading can be harmful for the eyes here has to be the, because they are the unique eyes of the reader. So in this case, you need the, but I thought you were talking about this one. This one, you don't need the. Here you need the, because it's the eyes of the reader. Okay? All right. Now, we want to get into the advantages. Now here we can have a connecting sentence. Okay, notice how I had an explanation here, no example. So even though I said example there, it's not actually an example. This is an explanation. Okay, and a connecting sentence. Okay, so what's a good way to connect to my next sentence, or how can I conclude this? Yeah, the drawbacks, Baljeet, definitely should be shorter. So this should be a short paragraph, okay? All right, so these few negatives are outweighed by many benefits. Okay, something like that. So you can connect with a simple sentence there and then go right into body 2, which is going to be your longer paragraph where you're talking about the advantages, okay? So what's a good topic sentence here, girls and guys? I'll let you think about a topic sentence for body paragraph 2. Now, of course, here we're focusing on the advantages. So what would be a good topic sentence to open up for the advantages? I'll give you a chance here to give me the topic sentence. So I don't want to just give you all these sentences. I want you to express it. So in spite of these disadvantages, advantages surpass the electronic mode of reading in today's world. Yes, Vandana, that's okay, but it's a little bit repetitive. So we want to be careful not to repeat the same idea again and again, although it is key and we are repeating it in a couple places. We don't want to be too repetitive. I would maybe write a little bit something different here. Definitely the benefits are numerous, Baljeet. I wouldn't use several. I would use the word numerous instead of several. So definitely the benefits of digital books are numerous. And I would add a little bit more to that. Are numerous. And that is why this mode of reading has become so popular around the world. Okay, now, here is where you want to add some explanations, of course. And we've talked about this in the critical thinking when we did our planning. So we have all the information. What we need to do here is list it. Okay, so here you're making a list. Now this is where you can use something like first, second, third. A lot of students use these kinds of leading expressions like first or firstly, secondly, and they use them in places where they shouldn't. But in this case, it's good to use it because you're making a list of the advantages and emphasizing that there's a lot of advantages to consider which outweigh the disadvantages. Yes, Manisha, are of. Thank you, Manisha, for that correction. Okay, there you go. Yes, got it. Okay, thank you. All right, so here we want to get in there and start listing. So firstly, having books in digital form takes up much less space, and this is very convenient. For instance, I have over 100 books on my tablet. So immediately, what I'm doing is I'm giving an explanation and I'm giving a first-hand personal example. So for instance, I have over 100 books on my tablet, which easily fits into my backpack. This is not possible with printed books. Okay, great. So here I'm going into examples of my personal experience. I'm giving the explanation. All right, girls and guys, sponsors watching, give me the next one. And here again, you can list. So second. What else? Now just go back to the list that we had here. What would be a good choice for second? So here, why use a device? We already brainstormed this. We wrote down a couple of good ideas. Again, stick to these main points. You don't need to go into a lot of detail. You just want to do what I just did. So pick one that you think is good for second. Write a sentence. Give an example. All right? So I'll leave this one to you. Second, what? Yeah, very good, Tien Zenzi. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Truly apologies. It's a tricky name for me. Tien Zenzi. Yes, they can be read in the dark. Okay, read in the dark, I absolutely agree, is a good second choice. Digital books can be read in the dark because they are, anybody know the word that goes in here? What's the word that ends that sentence? Just a little bit of a vocabulary check. Vandana, environmentally friendly and saves paper. That's a good one. You can list that for a third point. I think most people would consider this to be a second point even before the environment one. But hey, I agree. That is an important point. We can list that as a third point. Because they are light emitting, not quite, Baljit. There is a different word. I think it's one word, but we'll see here in a second. Yeah, Mohammed, that's right. They're backlit. Backlit. And I think that might even be one word. We'll see here in a second. Backlit. Yeah, that's right. It is one word. Sometimes it's tricky to figure out is that one word or two, so it's good to practice your writing on computer so it can correct it. So second, digital books can be read in the dark because they are backlit. Backlit means that there's light coming from behind, right? Give me an example. Okay, yeah, Amazon Kindle, but tablet or phone, they're all backlit as well. So here I'm going right into an example from my personal life to support that. So explanation, example. Here it was explanation, example. So in my daily routine, what do I do? Vandana, don't use you. Please do not use you in task 2 because that's second person voice. You should not use second person voice in your task 2 writing. So stick to I, me, my. It's a first person author voice, okay? So Tianzeni, Manisha, what do you guys think? What do you girls think? What's a good way to finish that example? In my daily routine, just something simple. Remember, we're backing up the explanation that second, digital books can be read in the dark. Yeah, exactly, Manisha. So in my daily routine, just before sleep, I like to read my favorite novel while the lights are off. So my roommates are not disturbed. Okay, sure. Or your dorm mates, you could also say. Oops. Sure, so something like that. Okay, then you had it right. So Vandana, you had a good example there for the third one, or good point for the third one. We could say saving the environment is another advantage of it, right? See, yeah, it's cheaper, so you could talk about cheaper too. So this is where you have to decide, hey, how good am I at writing? How fast can I write? Remember, it's minimum 250 words, okay? So if you can write very quickly and you can put another explanation example that it's cheaper in the long run, great, do it, explain it, give an example. If you can do 2 more and write about it's good for the environment, do it, write it, give an example, all right? But make sure that you don't run out of time. Make sure that you have enough time for your conclusion. Even if I jump to the conclusion right now, this essay would still get a very high score, especially if I reach that minimum 250 words. So if you're really pushing for a band 8 or a band 9 on your task 2, then maybe you want to write those other examples in there. But if you're going for a 7, instead use the time for your conclusion, review your essay, make sure you don't have a ton of mistakes. If you do have some mistakes, correct them, okay? So use your time, use your 40 minutes in a smart way. This is already lots of information. Let's throw a third one in there for just this example. So thirdly, having information, having literature stored in digital form is better for the environment than printed text. For instance, there are 1 million trees saved each year in Canada because school books are now in digital form. Okay, so boom, I can throw that third one in there. I can throw in more about, and it's also cheaper. Last but not least, it's also cheaper. You can try that at home if you really want to give it a go. But this is more than enough for you to get a good score. So now you want to get into your conclusion. Okay, and for your conclusion, restate the points. Okay, so that's your first step. So here, in conclusion, the benefits of digital text are many. Portability, accessibility, or utility is maybe a better word, and environmentalism. And then here, strengthen your argument. So that's your next step of your conclusion. You strengthen your argument. What is your argument? That the advantages of digital books are much more than the disadvantages. Therefore, I am most certainly in the belief that the advantages of electronic text outweigh the disadvantages. Okay, and then your take-home message. So a good conclusion always contains a take-home message. It's a message to your reader that can be clearly understood from your writing, from your ideas, that your reader can take with them and feel that, hey, it was valuable to read this information. There's something useful. Now, make sure not to introduce any new ideas. So you definitely don't want to write something like, and electronic books are also cheaper. That would be really strange and weird. It's not supported. So implementation, Baljit, is a good way to think about it. So think about the implementation. What is the implementation? And that's how we explain it in our course, Baljit. Environmentalism is the noun for protecting the environment, because here I'm using these words in parallel grammar form. Utility, portability, environmentalism. Okay, they're all in their noun forms. So take-home message, girls and guys, Manisha, Vandana, Naitiki, Mohammed, if you're still here. This was your request, so I hope you're still in there. Oh yeah, there you are. I can see your previous comment not too long ago. Give me a take-home message. What's a good message to draw from all of this information? Something simple. Don't overcomplicate it. There's a couple good messages that immediately pop into my mind. I'm not sure, Baljit, if the other... There's Vandana. I don't think they're gone. They're just thinking. The use of e-media should be encouraged. Yeah, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, absolutely, Vandana. I think that's a great take-home message. Using digital books can save our environment is okay, Mohammed. It's a little bit too specific. Here they come. So yeah, I think that it's a little bit too specific, Mohammed. I'd be a little bit more general. Vandana, you have a good one so far. Vandana, you don't need to write all capital letters. It's okay if you use lowercase. I'll catch everybody's writing just the same. Naitik, again, I think that's too specific. You're focusing on just the environment. You don't need to focus on just one point. No worries, Vandana, nothing to be sorry about. I just, want to keep it consistent. I'll catch everybody's. With sponsors only chat, that's one of the really nice things, Vandana, is I can really focus in on everybody's comments because they're not flying along with 100 people. Yeah, that's a good one, Tianzeni. It's no surprise that digital books will continue to increase in popularity. So that's another good one. I'll write another good one for you. So just so you see that there are lots of different good take-home messages that work. Here's another good take-home message. It is never too early to invest in an e-reader and enjoy the benefits of this technology. Okay, so here I'm basically telling my reader, hey, go buy something like this, use it, and you'll like it. It is never too early to invest in an e-reader and enjoy the benefits of this technology, okay? That's just another way to say it. Tianzenzi, I think yours was a good one there. Vandana, I think yours was also a good one there. The other ones were okay about the environment, but I think they're too specific. You just want to keep it a bit too general. Or you want to keep it a bit more general, sorry. All right, now, it's probably going to tell me that is many. Okay, now here, let's just read through, see how we did, see if it makes sense, check if we reach that 250 word minimum, and just refresh. Again, I want to make sure, Mohammed, that you're really clear now on how to write for this kind of essay. Notice that I didn't write a lot about books. So paper books, the information, there's some that appears there, but I don't focus on books because the question is asking me, do the advantages of ebooks outweigh the disadvantages? It's not asking me about, can you compare it to paper books? So be very careful with these questions about this. All right, so let's read it. Technology has changed the way people read. For the past several centuries, information had been written on paper. However, with the advent of the digital world, much of literature has moved to an electronic form. There's a debate whether or not ebooks are better than traditional paperbacks. Although there are some disadvantages to digital books, I believe the advantages are more. Certainly, there are some negatives to having information in electronic form. For example, there's a dependence on electricity, and without power, there is no book. Also, long exposure to light emitted from the device while reading can be harmful for the eyes. Nevertheless, these deficits are compensated by long battery life and new technology that is gentle on the retina. These few negatives are outweighed by many benefits. Definitely, the benefits of digital books are numerous. I'd probably want to change benefits here if I was reviewing this on the test, just because it's repetitive with my concluding sentence. Definitely, the positives of digital books are numerous, and that is why this mode of reading has become so popular around the world. Firstly, having books in digital form takes up much less space, and this is very convenient. For instance, I have over 100 books on my tablet, which easily fits into my backpack. This is not possible with printed books. Second, digital books can be read in the dark because they are backlit. In my daily routine, just before sleep, I like to read my favorite novel while the lights are off so my roommates are not disturbed. And here, I probably, because I'm joining sentence and sentence, and it's a long sentence, I want to put in a comma. Thirdly, having literature stored in digital form is better for the environment than printed text. For instance, there are 1 million trees saved each year in Canada because school books are now in digital form. In conclusion, the benefits of digital text is many: portability, utility, and environmentalism. Therefore, I am most certainly in the belief that the advantages of electronic texts outweigh the disadvantages. It is never too early to invest in an e-reader and enjoy the benefits of this technology. Okay, Mohammed, I'm glad. I'm just looking now back at your comments here. Yep, okay, Mohammed, so you see you're clear on it now. I'm happy that I was able to clear that up for you. I highly suggest trying one of these, Mohammed. Send it to me in an email, and I'll let you know what I think, what kind of a score you would get. And I'll let you know if you're on the right track and you figured it out, okay? So, and this is also for all of our other sponsors. So those sponsors that are watching right now, Manisha, Baljit, Vandana, and those that aren't, so if some of our sponsors watch this class later in the recording, try this essay or try this kind of essay. Send it to me by email, and then I'll have a look at it. I'll let you know what I think. I'll let you know if I think you did a good job or not, and where you might want to do some correction or some fixes. And then hopefully that will help you in the future. If you're not a sponsor yet and you're watching this now, becoming a sponsor is always a great idea. There are a lot of perks to that. You get our exam books and so on. Where are you looking for the comma, Manisha? After a phrase? You don't need a comma here. I don't know if you're thinking about that because I'm just joining a phrase and phrase here. If you join a phrase and a phrase that's not a sentence and a sentence, Manisha, yeah, you can. Oh, okay, I get it. It's not always necessary. It's a good idea, but it's one that you don't always have to have the comma there. It's good though. On the IELTS, yeah, Manisha, I'll support you on that. In the IELTS, just throw it in there to be on the safe side. But this is a simple sentence, and technically you don't really need it. But for the IELTS, put it in there. Okay, girls and guys, that's it for this class. This task 2 example. Notice that with all of my interactions with the sponsors, with all of my explanations, with the brainstorming, the whole class took 55 minutes. And you do have 40 minutes to do this. And of course, you're not going to be teaching a class at the same time. Now, to be fair, yes, I've had a bit more practice with this as well, but I hope that you do realize that it's possible to do this. By the way, this is about 300 words, 310 words long, okay? So that was about 310 words. Baljit, go for a walk. Have a great day. Remember, girls and guys, there is another class starting in 30 minutes. Everybody can chat. It's going to be a speaking class coming from our test number 5. We'll do some speaking practice. So hang tight for that one or come back for that one. That's going to be in 30 minutes. Some speaking strategy and practice. Tianzenzi and Vandana, thank you for becoming our sponsors in this class. We appreciate your support. It helps us grow. It helps us help you and help other people. So it's wonderful to have you on board, Vandana and Tianzeni. Bye, Manisha. Bye, Mohammed. Bye, Baljit. Keep checking for my sponsors' posts on the YouTube channel. Okay, I'll keep you informed of what's going on. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next class. Have an awesome day. Much love to you. Keep up the good practice. My email, yes, is here. Send me those task 2s. There's my email. It's my name at aehelp.com. So Adrian at aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com. Okay, so send it there. Okay, bye for now, girls and guys. See you in 30 minutes.